Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let's talk about this weekend's game taking place here in the Bay Area. I live in the Bay Area. It's taking place in San Francisco between the 49ers. And I've been hearing 49ers sports radio all week. And the New York Giants. Understand, I'm a Giants fan raised in New York City. Right? So this game hits home for me on a number of levels. Now let's talk about this game. I've been hearing now for weeks about this 49er defense. Right? Alton Smith, Justin Smith, Patrick Willis. We keep hearing about this defense. And statistically, the defense is very highly rated. You can't do better against the run than this defense, the 49er defense, has done this year. Here's why I'm not buying the hype. Their last game, Drew Brees passed for 462 yards. Right, let me repeat that. This vaunted defense that many are comparing to the best defenses in history, right, gave up 462 passing yards to Drew Brees. Let me go further. What's even more troubling is that three different New Orleans Saints had over 100 yards receiving. Is the defense really a shutdown defense when they're giving up that kind of yardage? You know, can we really point to Pro Bowl members of the 49ers secondary? To the gamblers out there, I ask, isn't a defense only as good as its weakest link? You know, when you think about shutdown defenses, Baltimore Ravens, also in the playoffs, you always have guys back there in the secondary, whether it's Ed Reed, whether it's for the Steelers, Troy Polamalu. You always have some big-time playmakers in the secondary. And that team is always able to stop the damage. Right? Now, all I'm saying is you knew that Drew Brees set the record for the most passing yards this season. You're the 49ers. You had a bye week. You knew that the Saints were going to try to pass the football. And yet the 49ers were completely unable to stop the Saint passing attack. Now, all I can say about the New York Giants is that they might have the best wide receiver combo in the entire National Football League. Understand that Victor Cruz hardly played the first few weeks, and yet he ended up with over 1,000 yards receiving. Hakeem Nicks ended up with over 1,000 yards receiving. The third receiver is Mario Manningham, who Eli uses in key moments. Manningham scored a touchdown last week against the Green Bay Packers. The Giants don't have to run the ball against the San Francisco 49ers to be successful. They're going to try. And their rushing attack with Ahmad Bradshaw is very effective. They're going to try to run the ball, but understand the real strength in the Giant offense is Eli Manning throwing the ball. You know, Eli Manning in the regular season had more than 4,900 passing yards. And keep in mind, Eli, unlike his brother, doesn't play indoors. Right? These are hard yards to get. He's not playing indoors like Brees. He's not playing indoors like Matthew Stafford. Right? And so what I believe is going to happen is I believe you're going to get an offensive shootout, at least from the Giants side. And the part of the 49er defense that's relevant, its secondary, is going to be its weakest part. Let's also talk about Giant defense for a second. Now, last week we saw Greg Williams have to blitz a lot, right, to throw off Alex Smith. Understand the Giants, like the Detroit Lions, don't have to blitz to generate pressure on the quarterback. They can literally rush four, and the four they're rushing are accomplished. Jason Pierre-Paul, that's a name you need to know. He's going to the Pro Bowl. You saw Ozzie Umenyiora look good last week, right? Justin Tuck, even a banged up Justin Tuck, is excellent up the middle. When you throw in the Giant linebackers, guys like Matthias Kiwanuka, you have a pretty ferocious pass rush. And my point to you is they don't have to blitz to generate heat on the quarterback. Now let's talk about Alex Smith, who's not going to have the empty spaces downfield that he had against the blitzing Saints. You know, I'm hearing a lot about Alex Smith. All I can say is, again, let's just speak the truth. He passed for less than 300 yards last week, just a smidge under. And if you look at the ball distribution, he didn't have three 100-yard receivers like Drew Brees, right? He couldn't. He didn't even pass for 300 yards. He had one guy that he locked onto, Vernon Davis. He targeted him 10 times in the game. Davis caught 7 balls for 180 yards. No other 49er receiver even had 40 yards receiving. Right? Alex Smith, in terms of yards per completion, is under 8 yards per completion. Right? Eli Manning's over 8. Alex Smith is a dink and dunk quarterback who's relying heavily on his tight end. I like good stories. I like guys making comebacks. But let's not confuse Alex Smith, who did not pass for 4,000 yards this year, with an elite quarterback. Right? When Jim Harbaugh says that Alex Smith belonged in the Pro Bowl, ask yourself, just in the NFC, I'm not even going to include AFC quarterbacks, just in the NFC, would you pick Alex Smith for the Pro Bowl ahead of Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Matthew Stafford, who passed for 5,000 yards this year, or Eli Manning? Right? I believe the answer is no, 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 and no. Right? In my opinion, the Giants have the superior quarterback. When you add in experience, then it becomes lopsided. Eli Manning is a former Super Bowl MVP. Alex Smith played his first playoff game last week, or at least his first playoff win was last week, right? And so you add it all up to me, and when you factor in the fact that the New York Giant defense in the last few weeks has found a way to contain Tony Romo, Matt Ryan, and Aaron Rodgers. And understand, last week, Aaron Rodgers at home in a playoff game threw for less than 300 yards. I don't see any reason why the Giants should not be able to slow down Alex Smith. I think the Giants have the superior pass rush. I think the Giants will be testing the 49ers secondary, right? I think Eli Manning throws for 300 yards. I think that the 49er defense is too targeted to the run. Isn't that good, quite frankly, against the pass? I think the Giants are on a mission. They've just clicked. Understand, they beat the Cowboys in Dallas. They beat the Cowboys at home. They beat the Jets, who needed the win. They, beat up the Atlanta Falcons. Look at that box score. It's lopsided. They beat the Green Bay Packers. I believe the Giants come into Candlestick and win this game. I actually like the Giants to win the game. I expect them to cover the point spread. I'm expecting the upset in this one. San Francisco is a good feel-good story. Unfortunately, when we're betting U.S. currency, the story we're focused on is reality, not fiction. Alex Smith, he's done a lot of good things. The bottom line is Alex Smith is not an elite quarterback. There's a reason why Eli Manning is going to the Pro Bowl and Alex Smith on the second-seeded team in the NFC did not get voted in. Right? I think that the Giants are going to pressure Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith is going to make some errant throws. I think that the Giants are going to be very competitive in this game. Then I think there will be a moment in the second half where Eli Manning starts to connect with his wide receivers. And understand, the Niners don't have elite wide receivers. Right? Michael Crabtree simply is not an elite wide receiver. Right? Ted Ginn is great on special teams. When you see Ted Ginn out on the field during normal action, when special teams are not out on the field, then you realize, wow, the Niners are thin at that position. There's a reason why only Vernon Davis had more than 40 receiving yards last week. I like the Giants here. This is a free pick. I'm sticking my neck out. Let's see what happens. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me here on YouTube. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com for free picks like this one and at dwyervip.com for premium picks. Thanks for watching.